Hello and welcome back to Loftside Banter. All the Loftsiders out there, thank you very much for coming back to the Week 5 preview. We're going to take a look at all the games, including the early games, everything else like that. For Week 5 of the NFL, then we are going to look at the baseball playoffs. I believe I mentioned it in the last opening and just didn't get around to it or edit it out or whatever I did. But we'll look at it as the wild card series are over. Then we'll take a look at some major sports news going on right now. We started the WNBA finals. We also have basketball season towards the end of this month. And we have the NHL season kicking off in the next week or so. So we'll have all of that today. We'll try to get through all of it as much as possible. Excuse the mess behind me. As I mentioned before, we are going through a little bit of a move here. We're moving the studio of Loftside Banter. It'll still be called the same thing, so don't worry about that. We'll just be in a bigger space and a nicer setup for an actual podcast where we can have some different spots to sit. We don't have to always just be in front of a desk in front of the cat condo that's right here. There won't be bags and everything else like that. So we will be in a new area for Loftside Banter. We're growing, which is great. So we go into week 5. We'll start with Thursday night, simply being because, we're not going to do an anti-narrative segment for this episode, but what we are going to do is talk about one that probably would have been on the list, and that involves Mac Jones. And as you can kind of see, the process of what I'm seeing a lot of, obviously through Boston media and stuff like that, is the complete collapse of any sort of sane thoughts when it comes to sports and stuff like that. Thursday night game, the San Francisco 49ers are 4-1. Mac Jones had another really good game that has shown that he isn't as lost as we all thought he was, including myself. I thought he was done, absolutely done. And when he went to Jacksonville and stuff like that, and he still didn't prove anything, I went, yeah, he's definitely done. A little bit better and better weapons, better more put together team right now than any of the time that he had in New England. But 6-23 was the final. The Los Angeles Rams were the opponent, and it was an overtime game. Mac Jones was 33 of 49 for 342 yards and 2 touchdowns. No interceptions, no mistakes that I can see. Let me just take a look. There wasn't a fumble anywhere. Not by him, at least. Christian McCaffrey game. Kendrick Bourne is the one that came out of the woodwork here. 10 catches, 142 yards. Now, the link up between Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne, we all know, was back here in New England as well. But on the other side, nobody really played bad here either. You had Puka Nacua, 10 receptions, 85 yards, and a touchdown. He is playing magnificent this season. I'm going to look at it a little bit closer. 52 receptions. We're 5 games in. We are 5 games in, and he's at 52 receptions already. So, you want to do the math? Go for it. It's a little over 10 a game. I know. Crazy how I could do that quickly. If they need to play better. The Rams need to play better, but Puka can be in the MVP conversation if he continues to catch 10 passes a game. But they need to win games like this. So Brock Purdy obviously played last week, did not play this week. Defense has looked okay for the Niners. Same thing with the Rams. Nobody really made a lot of mistakes or anything else like that. There were a couple of fumbles. Stafford fumbled and Kyren Williams fumbled, though Kyren Williams was later reutilized to help get them in position to at least force overtime. So, a decent game for a Thursday night game. Decent. And I always kind of look at those games, or the early part of the week, Thursday night games, where it's just like, we're not going to get the top tier game out of all this. And the last few have been okay. Have been pretty good. So, again, I'm not saying that Thursday night football is going to be all of a sudden the best game of the week or anything else like that. But a 49ers 4-1, even with all the injuries, they're 4-1. Now, they can still come back down to earth. They can still play some decent opponents and stuff like that. But, they have the Buccaneers up next, which is going to be tough. The Falcons, the Texans, the Giants, and the Rams again. So winnable games, definitely winnable against the Falcons, Texans, Giants, and obviously the Rams. He just beat them. They have the Cardinals right after that. So again, another winnable game. But we're looking at a team that's had to rely on Mac Jones, and he's put together a string of games that has looked pretty good. Now, on 905 yards, 6 touchdowns, and interception, you're looking at a player that was essentially fed to the wolves here in New England and was essentially gone. The next step was getting him out of the league. He has proven that he has that talent. He has proven that he can run a game plan. He can make mistake-free football, but we've also seen where he makes a lot of mistakes. And I think he's probably somewhere in the middle. I don't think he's a typical, hey, we're going to roll him out and he's going to be our starter and we're going to make the playoffs and do everything else like this. I think he's a great stopgap. I think he's probably one of the better backups at this point. He's still 27. So, he has time. I just think that Mac Jones needs to be on a team like this. He can't be a Jaguars player. He can't be, in the old rosters the Patriots had around him. They weren't great. And whatever the stuff is between him and Belichick stopped coaching him, or whatever the rumors are and everything else like that. If you put him with serviceable people around him, he's going to be okay. And I'm happy for him. Look, there are some players out there, and I won't name names, they'll eventually come up. There are some players out there that I can't root for one reason or another. At my age, everything's about the laundry that they're wearing and everything else like that. If Mac Jones comes and plays the Patriots, I want him to get crushed. I want it to be proven again and again, hey, they made the right choice to move on. And I still think even now, Drake May is your quarterback and stuff like that. You've made the right choice. I think you're going to get more and a higher ceiling out of Drake May. But that was the Thursday night game. We'll go into this early game. I'm going to try to remember to go back to the Patriots and Bills for Sunday Night Football. It's obviously the first one in that little top section of ESPN for me. So we have a London game. It is the Minnesota Vikings still working with Carson Wentz, who, again, came back down to earth, against the Cleveland Browns. And now the interesting story here is that Dylan Gabriel has been handed the reins to be the starting quarterback, and I think it's the right move. You're 4 games in. We know what the Cleveland Browns are. They're not a great team. I think you're going to get Dylan Gabriel for at least 4 games, at the bare minimum of 4 games, barring injuries and stuff like that. And we're going to see what he can do. After about 8 games, I think he'll probably get more of a leash than that. It depends on how badly they play. But Dylan Gabriel and then Shador is the next one. But you had Joe Flacco, 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions this year. Again, he's not your future. He's not the guy that's going to be here long term and needs to develop and go through the growing pains. That's not what you're asking of him. He was a stopgap at best, and that gap unfortunately did not work out. So Joe Flacco out. Dylan Gabriel will come in. He had very, very small sample size. He obviously had a pretty good game where he went 3 for 3, like 19 yards, and he threw a touchdown pass and it was like perfect passer rating, whatever it was. I think it was against the Ravens. Carson Wentz, 2 interceptions last week, I think. He has 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They're going to be very slow with J.J. McCarthy. Now, J.J. McCarthy didn't look great in the games that he started at the beginning of the season, so at this point, when he comes back, you're really not going to get much better unless there's some development between the 3 weeks that he's been out injured. I doubt it, but 2 Michael Juergens and Ryan Kelly for the Minnesota Vikings are both out, 2 offensive linemen. Their depth is really, really thin right now at offensive line. Cedric Tillman and DeAndre Carter both went on IR for the Cleveland Browns, so that makes the wide receiver room a little bit thin as well. You still have Quinshon Judkins. So if we're looking at Mason Graham has had pretty good playing time, and the defense for the Browns hasn't been awful considering the fact it's just they're not in the top echelon, but for a bad team, they have a pretty decent defense. It's actually the second best defense in the division. I'm looking at it now. Pittsburgh at 98 points allowed, and then Cleveland at 102. So again, we're not. So I maybe it is better than what I'm giving him credit for. But Quinshon Judkins, starting running back, second-round draft pick. Dylan Gabriel was a third-round draft pick, I believe. Keishan Schwessinger is the leading tackler on this team. I mentioned this last time. The young players that they picked up in this draft have been playing meaningful minutes and have been successful. Now, somebody has to be the leading tackler. A rookie, it's a lot easier to be a better rookie on a defense with tackle numbers and stuff like that, because a tackle is whatever. But I think they're going to go through the rest of the season with whatever growing pains they have. As far as the Minnesota Vikings, if they can get Carson Wentz to make mistakes and stuff like that, I think that's kind of where we're at. I'm going to still take the Vikings minus 3.5. The unknown of Dylan Gabriel right now is the factor. I think he's probably going to have more opportunity to make mistakes, if that makes sense, than previously suggested. I just think that we're at a point where these guys, or this rookie in particular, in Dylan Gabriel, you're going to see more of him. You're going to start seeing what he does under pressure and everything else like that. So let's kind of, they're going to have to figure all that out. If I had my note from last week, I think I put it aside somewhere. Maybe not. Probably for the best. It wasn't very good. On the trash, I didn't throw it out. But I have the Vikings covering the 3.5. They're still 3.5 point favorites as of right now. Next, we have the Baltimore Ravens and the Houston Texans. We're in Baltimore. No Lamar Jackson. He left last week's game against the Chiefs with an injury, and he will not play in this game. This is probably a must-win for the Ravens. With your back against the wall, not having your MVP caliber quarterback, being heavy in the injury department. Emory Jones out, Patrick Ricard out, Marlon Humphrey out, Devontae Walker probably out. There's a lot of questions with the depth on this Ravens team. And this was the one thing that was going to derail them, was injuries. And this is similar to the 49ers of last year, where they had all this talent all over the roster. The roster looked like it was the best in the NFL. And then players out, players not playing, players out, not producing. That's kind of where we're at with this team. It's a 3.5 point favorite for the Baltimore Ravens at home. I'm going to take that as well. I have more confidence in Cooper Rush than probably a lot of people. Now, the offense isn't going to look anywhere close to what Baltimore is used to. Cooper Rush is not the flush out of the pocket, find yardage. Hey, there's a gap. I'm going to go out and I'm going to find it, and I'm going to make this all work. Cooper Rush is a pocket passing quarterback that has some mobility to him. So you'll see him scamper here and there. Roquan Smith also out for the Ravens as well, as I'm seeing that. Their leading tackler is out. Their leading sack getter is out. So the Texans just have not played well against bad teams. And that's why I'm still going with the Ravens on this one. But yeah, I think it's a must-win. I think both of them, whoever wins this game is going to be a far better shape than the other one. Houston has to compete with Indianapolis and Jacksonville in the South, whereas Baltimore is competing with Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. It's a much easier road for Baltimore because I believe Indianapolis and Jacksonville have a lot of good stuff put together. And again, this defense has only given up 51 points for the Texans. So I think that they have the ability to make noise in the division still. I've seen them go 1-3 or 0-3 and then make the playoffs prior. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. But the Houston Texans have two teams that are playing fairly well at the top of this division and are up 2 games, whereas Baltimore, Pittsburgh, again, they're so confusing of what they are. But they still have -2 point differential. That should tell you that they're right there. They're going to give up just as many points as they score, and that's going to result in losses eventually. You know, at 3-1, good for them. But we'll get to Pittsburgh in a second. But I still think the Ravens. I think Cooper Rush comes out and plays really well with the whole week to kind of prepare for this and know who your quarterback is. They knew pretty much immediately at the end of the last game. They always hold out hope, but they were going forward with Cooper Rush as the guy. The next game is the New York Giants on the road in New Orleans to play the Saints. Not a very desirable game to watch. But you have the Jackson Dart. What is he going to do for game 2? You have Spencer Rattler, again, not playing bad. Alvin Kamara, not playing bad. Just they're not able to win close games, and that's what bad teams do. They lose close games. The Jackson Dart, I'm gonna take a look at Jackson Dart a little bit here. Jackson Dart ran for a touchdown, 13 of 20 last week, 111 yards. Had 1 touchdown, no interceptions. A good start, but he wasn't asked to do a lot, and he did a lot more with his feet, or what seemed like getting out of trouble. And again, was putting them in positions to be successful. Not in a 3rd and long, not making the plays that Russell Westbrook was making and stuff like that. And then Cam Scatterbo is going to be the lead back. Again, young guys are making contributions on some of these bad teams, which is good. They're going to go through the growing pains of losing, but are going to develop playing a certain style and are going to develop by getting the time. There will be mistakes along the way, but young players for some of these bad teams are playing significant minutes and are producing good results. So with all that said, by next year, when you've built around the problems that you have, whether it's Jackson Dart as your starter and Cam Scatterbo as your running back, they've already had all the time in the world. They already know what doesn't work. And now when you go in and you're able to pay these guys a little bit less because you've drafted them last year, they are going to be able to spend money in other places. Russell Westbrook will be off the books. Probably, who knows about Jameis Winston? I'm sure you'll keep one of them around. But I see hope at the end of the tunnel for the Giants, especially if Jackson Dart can keep this team moving forward. And it may be a situation like it was last year with the Patriots and Drake May. You could see the little things that Drake May was doing to move this team along. There just wasn't talent around him. They went out, they've gotten some talent. He looks a lot better. That's probably what's going to happen with Jackson Dart. I liked Jackson Dart. I liked the pick. And I said early on that he would take over. And this was a lot sooner than I thought it would be. But they have made that move. And again, I said it last time. And I realize I repeat myself from one show to the next quite a bit. But Brian Daboll is trying to save his job. And the way he could have done that is, hey, Jackson Dart is the guy I wanted, I drafted. Yeah, we went out and signed Russell Westbrook. We kind of knew what he was. Jameis Winston, great, but, you know, he's going to be your third string. And he's just a gunslinger. And he's going to make as many mistakes as he does amazing plays. So, the teams that a lot of these bad teams, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I do. It might be way far off, but I see it. I'm not saying by next year I'm going to go, oh, the Giants and the, Saints are going to be in the NFC Championship game, or this, that, and the third, whatever. With the lack of practicing and everything else, the NFL has a development problem. Getting these people or these players in now is helping some of them. Some of them it's going to hurt them. That's just the way it goes. Sometimes it's just nothing more than a coin flip. Another 1:00 game. Denver Broncos go on the road where they're 0-2 against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to take the Giants -2.5. I didn't mention that, but Giants -2.5 for the next one. I just think Jackson Dart, especially against the Saints, I think he'll be fine. I'm going to take the Eagles -5.5 over the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos have not shown the same kind of greatness that we witnessed last year. A lot of it had to do with their defense. Their defense hasn't played as well as we expected. They've only given up 67 points. So again, they're bending quite a bit. They're just not breaking as much. They're breaking at the wrong times. Bo Nix, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions through 4 games. Not looking as good as last year. Now, less scouting report last year. Many different things could be the issue. Sophomore slump is probably something else that we're probably witnessing right now. J.K. Dobbins for the Broncos is playing well. Cortland Sutton has played pretty well. Jalen Hurts on the other side has only thrown 101 passes in 4 games and only 609 yards, which is over 200 yards less than Bo Nix. I'm not going to sit here and criticize Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts has led teams to Super Bowls. Multiple Super Bowls, and he's at least won one. Is he the most talented quarterback under center in the NFL? No. Do you have to be the most talented quarterback under center in the NFL to win a Super Bowl? No. We've seen teams with lackluster, and I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is lackluster. What I'm saying is, we've seen teams not have the strongest quarterback against other opponents and go on and win Super Bowls. Trent Dilfer comes to mind. Nick Foles comes to mind. Nick Foles was the worst quarterback left in the group when it came to the playoffs as far as quarterbacks were concerned. And they went on and won a Super Bowl. I'm not devaluing the position. What I am doing is telling you that when you have good everything else or great everything else, which the Eagles have, they have a great offensive line. They have great weapons on offense. They have a good defense. It's not as good as it was last year, but we are talking about a team that was picked apart. But they are undefeated. They have 20 more points than they've given up. So, again, it's not blowing out anybody. They're averaging wins by 5 points. So, less than a touchdown. I just think Jalen Hurts, when you start to try to force Jalen Hurts to beat you, there are mistakes that will be made. If you can take Saquon Barkley out of a game plan and make Jalen Hurts throw all over the field, isn't going to be as free-flowing as an offense as it is right now. And again, they're undefeated. I'm not criticizing the team or saying that they're not going to have an opportunity in another Super Bowl. It's just there are little things throughout a game that I happen to notice as I'm watching, and Jalen Hurts not throwing for a ton is one of them. But again, 4-0, who can argue with it? I have the Eagles -5.5. Then we have the Cowboys and the Jets. This one's interesting in a sense that the Cowboys are coming off of a tie of the Packers. Dak Prescott has almost 1,200 yards passing through 4 games. You're forcing him to beat you. Javonte Williams has had a decent season. Has 4 touchdowns already. George Pickens has had a great season so far. They are missing CeeDee Lamb. They are missing a few other guys. Malik Hooker just went on the injured reserve. Tyler Guyton, rookie. Is he a rookie this year? He might be. No, second-year player. Tyler Booker, another offensive lineman, out. Kalen Carson, Jonathan Wingo, both out. Braylon Allen for the Jets is out. So some injuries over there as well. What we're looking at is 2 teams that the Jets stick into games. They made some mistakes early and couldn't come back from them. Again, bad team. If you go down early, the chances of you catching up aren't great. But they're at the bottom of the AFC East. And I don't see it getting any better. I think that the Cowboys are going to cover the 1.5. I think the Cowboys are the better team, even through the injuries and everything else like that. But you watch them one game, they score 6 points, 7 points, 10 points, whatever it is. Then they tie a 40-40 game with the Packers, who look more human nowadays. Man, they have weapons. They have all those things. It's just not put together properly. And that falls on the head of Jerry Jones. It has to. Jerry Jones has not put together a good team. And you want to, Dak Prescott keeps getting knocked out. Whose fault is that? You paid the guy that gets hurt all the time. So, Cowboys covering that one. Raiders and Colts. I have the Colts minus 6.5. I think they're going to cover that. Daniel Jones over 1,000 yards passing so far. A little bit more down to earth last week against the Rams. Made a couple of mistakes, but they were in it. 27-20 loss is not terrible, considering, you go off of what you know of Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones, lackluster history, obviously, is that. Geno Smith on the other side, just under 1,000 yards. I think his days are numbered. 7 interceptions already through 4 games. This is in Indianapolis. Mark Sanchez, who was going to be here to call this game, was actually stabbed not too long ago and rushed to the hospital. We don't know all the details. I don't know all the details. I've tried to search for more so I can give you more. But he's in stable condition. He seems like he's going to be okay. But it's just interesting storyline to start off with, I guess. That the announcer you were supposed to have got stabbed and will no longer be a part of the broadcast for this game. Jonathan Allen and Ashton Genty are going to take center stage in this. Both of them are having... Ashton Genty started slow, had a great week last week. Thank you for being on my fantasy team and at least helping me to get there. Jonathan Taylor has looked phenomenal. 77 carries, 414 yards, and 3 touchdowns. One of the other reasons that this Indianapolis Colts team has played so well early on doesn't have all the pressure isn't on Daniel Jones. Now, the Giants had Saquon Barkley, and they still, Saquon kept getting hurt. Daniel Jones wasn't making the right decisions. They didn't have a great offensive line for a long time. So, those are the main differences right now. Next, the 1 o'clock game between the Miami Dolphins, who won against the Jets. Again, lost Tyreek Hill for the year. They're on the road playing the Carolina Panthers, and I have the Panthers plus 1.5. I think they're going to have a little bit of a bounce back game. The defense has to be able to stop somebody. And Tua making some mistakes early on this season. Maybe there's that. Chuba Hubbard is going to be out of this game. He was, their lead back. So you're going to go with a backup there. Tate McMillan's looked great. Early on, Rookie of the Year. Their leading sack leader, Terrence Wharton, out. So the Panthers are missing a few guys. Same thing with the injury-prone Miami Dolphins. Or Tershawn Wharton. I said Tershawn Wharton. I think they're going to come back from last week where the Patriots basically had their way with them. I think Miami's a worse team right now. So I think it's going to be a little bit closer. And you're at home. So a little bit more crowd on your side, I guess. Considering you got spanked 42-13 last week. But I think the Panthers cover. I think they're going to win outright. It may be by a field goal or whatever, but I think they're going to cover that. Next, we have the Bucs and the Seahawks, both 3-1 teams. The Seahawks defense has been phenomenal. It's time to see if the Bucs can win this game before it's a 2-minute warning in either half. Bucky Irving out. They have Rashad White, who's a very, very good backup. So I don't think they're going to lose a whole bunch there. Baker Mayfield, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception. Sam Darnold, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So again, still playing better than like he kind of did last year. Mike Evans is out. Jamal Dean's out. I'm still going to take the Bucs plus 2.5. I think they're going to win this game by more than a touchdown. Seattle is still going to be very good. They're still going to be up there. Again, they've only given up 67 points so far in this season. So Tampa Bay is 97 points scored, 97 against. They have 0 differential, and that's because they've been winning games so close over the last couple of weeks. But let's go with the Bucs plus 2.5. The Cardinals and the Tennessee Titans. The Cardinals, 2 bad teams at the end of the year, won both of those games, have played decent teams the last 2 weeks, and have lost. They are at home against a winless Titans team, and you're starting to see the mistakes come from Cam Ward. You're starting to see mistakes all around as far as this team is concerned. The growing pains are going to be the growing pains. I don't think it's going to get any better this week. Trey Benson just did go on IR, so we're now at, I think, Michael Carter is the starting running back there, which is, again, who knows? Kyler Murray has the ability to beat this team. He's got to limit his mistakes. He's got to limit all the mistakes. I've seen him do so well some games, and the next games he's just like, this is not the same player. And I've said it before. He needs to limit his mistakes. I think it's going to be a lot closer than I think it's going to be closer than we think. I think it'll eventually be like 31-21, something like that. Cardinals are 7.5 point favorites, I think, right now. The Commanders and the Chargers. We do have Jaden Daniels back this week. Justin Herbert has started to show some cracks in his armor, especially with the loss last week. Let's see, who do they play? Against the Giants, that's right. So I'm taking the Commanders plus 2.5. So I think I have 3 underdogs. So it was the Panthers, the Bucs, and the Commanders are the 3 underdogs that I'm taking. I think Jaden Daniels leads this team fairly well. I think they need to get back on the winning ways, being 2-2. I think this team plays better, and I think Justin Herbert's probably going to make a few mistakes this week. That Commanders defense is the one thing that worries me. So that's the one caveat to this. Hey, I'm taking the underdog in this game is the defense needs to step up. It needs to be better. Justin Herbert can pick them apart. Again, with a couple of mistakes he had last week. I think they probably continue this week. And again, the Commanders need a wake-up call, and I think this might be it. This might be one of those games where you're not really expecting them to be in it the whole way, or at least keep it close, and then they're surprised at the end of the day when they win. The Lions and the Bengals. The Lions are 3-1 going on the road against the Bengals, and the Bengals look bad. The offense looks terrible. So I don't foresee that getting any better. I don't foresee any reason why the Lions can't cover the 8.5. I think you're probably looking at a 2-touchdown, 10-plus point win for this. The Detroit Lions have looked fantastic ever since coming off that week 1 loss to the Green Bay Packers. 52-21 over Chicago, 38-30 over Baltimore, and then 34-10 over the Cleveland Browns. And now you have an easier team as this week as well. Sunday night. I'm going to go all the way back here. Sunday night, the New England Patriots at 2-2 are going on the road to play the Buffalo Bills. I've heard this is a passing of a torch game. I've heard this is going to be for the AFC East. I've heard, and I'm going to tell you, we're going to pump the brakes here from a New England fan. We're going to hold on a second. The Bills are 8.5-point favorites. I'm going to go with the Bills, and I think it's going to be 10 to 13 point difference. So it's going to be like 28-14. It's going to be something like that. The Bills just are built differently right now with the types of players that they have and the superstars they have and Josh Allen and everything else like that. It's remarkably close, the statistics between Drake May and Josh Allen. Drake May is 91 of 123, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 988 total passing yards. Josh Allen, 85 of 121, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, 964 yards. So they're eerily similar. The one place the Buffalo Bills are absolutely destroying the Patriots is in the run game because James Cook is a beast. 75 carries, 401 yards in 4 games. So he's averaging 100 yards a game. You know, the defense just looks better. The Patriots' pass defense looks desperate at times. Josh Allen understands he's the most talented guy on the field and that he can come out and do all these different things. As soon as he realizes that each and every game, he seems to like flip a switch. Now, the one thing the Patriots defense is weirdly the best at in the division is how many points they've given up, which is only 81. Buffalo has given up 90. Now, Buffalo has played better teams. They have played Baltimore, they've played the Jets, and the Miami, and then the Saints last week. So a fairly easy schedule after the Ravens. The Patriots lost to Las Vegas, which was, again, the first game of the year. They beat Miami. They lost to Pittsburgh on that terrible turnover performance. And then, obviously, last week, the drubbing of the Panthers. I think it's going to be closer throughout the game. 3 quarters and stuff like that. And then I think you start to see where Josh Allen is better. So we're going to take the 8.5 just because the Bills just seem to be that much better. I would love for this to be so much closer. So much closer. I would love this to be a 3-point. Like, I would be okay with them losing by a field goal. And I never want to see the Patriots lose. We're at a point where the mistakes and the growing pains from the Patriots are going to rear up every so often. Against good teams, bad teams, whatever. The thing that we have to understand as Patriots fans is we're not quite in that same class as Buffalo right now. Do I think the Patriots can win the game? Yes, I do. Do I think the Patriots, that makes the Patriots the better team? No, I don't. I think in the longevity of a 17-game schedule, the Bills are going to have a better record. Do I think they could split the series? Do I really think that the Patriots are going to be able to take both games from the Buffalo Bills this year? Probably not. This one's on the road. Sunday Night Football. I just think the better team is going to win out. It's that simple. Right now, you can't say the Patriots are a better team than the Bills. Monday night. Only one Monday night game. We have the 2-2 Kansas City Chiefs who are back. And I've said it, and I'm going to continue to say it. When the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes under center and Andy Reid coaching the team, this team is going to be okay. At the very least, they're going to be okay. They're going on the road to play the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 3-1, 2-0 at home. Trevor Lawrence has not played the best, and I think it's probably, 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Again, to me, if you're a good quarterback, you're at the 7-1, 7-2, maybe 7-3 as far as that. Patrick Mahomes has 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. Trevor Lawrence has made mistakes, and I think we're starting to get to a point that, hey, he's not the greatest number 1 overall pick that we've seen. I think we've been able to question that for at least a year or two, especially with the injury history. The Kansas City Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites. I would take that all day. I think they're starting to come around. Jacksonville has a good defense, 72 points given up in these first 4 games, but Kansas City's only given up 76. Now, Kansas City has lost to the Chargers, who we see are human, and the Philadelphia Eagles, who we've seen win close games because that's what they do. They beat the Giants and they beat Baltimore, ailing Baltimore team. But it wasn't that close. So that's what I would take this week as far as that. I think we're starting to get to, we know what teams are going to be. There'll be a few one-offs here and there. I mean, again, any given Sunday, any team can beat any team. But we kind of know what each team is going to kind of be, where they're going to be. Taking a look really quick at college football. Let's take a look here. Boston College, terrible. Lost to Pitt, 48-7. Terrible. I'm probably done with that season. Cincinnati's beating Iowa State with 11 seconds ago. Iowa State on their own side of the 50. It's going to be a little tough for them to come back here. Alabama and Vanderbilt just started off. Diego Pavia looks phenomenal. And it's amazing what happens when you give a team a good quarterback and able to use the transfer portal to your advantage. Because Vanderbilt has finally started to come around. Same thing with Mississippi State, too. And I know Brandon Walker over there at Barstool and stuff like that, huge Mississippi State fan. They've looked really good. Even in the loss last week, they looked really good. Florida is up 7-0 over number 9 Texas. We're going to go take a look here at what Arch Manning has done. He hasn't even touched the ball yet. So that's where we are with that. Some other games. Notre Dame is playing Boise State. Not an easy game for them. We have Oklahoma playing Kent State later on. Minnesota and Ohio State play at 7:30 tonight. The big game is Florida State against Miami, which will be a fun game for me to watch because I don't think Tommy Castellanos is the guy. I don't think he'll ever be the guy. And now they're playing Miami. And they lost last week to Virginia. So maybe it's time for he came down to earth. Texas A&M and Mississippi State. So Mississippi State, again, 4-1, lost to Tennessee last week. Looked pretty good. But now they have another test in number 6, Texas A&M. The MLB playoffs. So right now, game 1 of the NLDS has a 9-1 lead for the Brewers over the Cubs. The Cubs beat the Padres to get to this round. There's some injuries going into this year, and we'll touch on the Red Sox and the Yankees in a second. The Dodgers play the Phillies in game 1. The Blue Jays and the Yankees will play. Spoiler alert. And the Tigers and the Mariners are all what we have tonight. The narrative of, and I guess this is kind of an anti-narrative, is the Yankees were the better team in that series. There's no question about that. When you're trotting out guys like Rob Refsnyder, Nate Eaton, Romy Gonzalez, these guys are not the names you want on a lineup card going against the New York Yankees, having to play 3 games in New York. Now, you came out and you won game 1. That's because Garrett Crochet was dealing. He retired 17 in a row He looked phenomenal, even after losing the lead. And it was such a good move for the Red Sox to make, to get him signed, to keep him here, and everything else like that. But when you go Rob Refschneider, and I have an unhealthy hatred towards Rob Refschneider, and it's not a hatred. He's a Major League Baseball player. I'm not. I'm a guy that's sitting in a let's go see a horror movie T-shirt. All right, that should tell you that I'm nowhere close to being able to get on a field. There were injuries to the Red Sox that did affect this. But I'm also at a point where I've said injuries don't matter. You went into this series without Roman Anthony. I mean, this is a young kid. Roman Anthony not there. Lucas Giolito was your number 3 starter and had a very good year with 10-4 and a 3.4 ERA. He wasn't supposed to be available throughout the postseason. He pitched his last game. He had right elbow injury that wasn't as bad as they thought, but he just wasn't available for the postseason. And with the injury that he's had throughout his career, you're without him. And now you got to go with Connolly Early, who had made 4 starts total in his career and looked good through the first 3 innings. Was able to work through some trouble, gave up a leadoff double, worked through that. But the 2 away games, he played one against the A's in front of 10,000 people, and then one against the Rays in front of 10,000 people. And now you're like, hey, game 3, win or go home. You're going to pitch in Yankee Stadium. 47,000 plus who are just going to yell. And I think the defense throughout the series was poor. I think he deserved better in game 3. But no Roman Anthony, no Tristan Cassius, no Lucas Giolito. Dustin May, who you picked up at the deadline, nothing going there. Hunter Dobbins, who you had pitching very well, or pretty well, throughout this on the 60-day DL. Richard Fitz, out. Marcelo Mayer. Shortstop, third base, second base, out. Cooper Criswell, out. Tanner Houck, out. Josh Winkowski, out. You were going in with, again, trotting out Rob Refschneider to lead off. Good against lefties. Didn't do too well in the series. Let's see. Game 2. 0 for 3. Rob Refschneider. Nathaniel Lowe. Good pickup at the time. Better than what you had trotting. Better than what you were trotting out at first base. Jaron Duran did not hit very well. Trevor Story, Yoshida, Bregman, and Crochet are the 4 guys I think showed up with any heart at all. And I'm not saying the effort by anybody was not there or anything else like that. It wasn't great. It wasn't great to see that. Yoshida was batted .571 in the series. Pinch hit for the first 2. The team lost that series. The Red Sox lost that series for them between the defense and the injuries and who you're trotting out there. And again, guys like Nate Eaton. Let's see. Let's go take a look at game 1 here. You had Nick Sogard, Nate Eaton, These are the guys that you're putting out there. That's what you're down to. And it wasn't, and injuries shouldn't, I'm going to say it again, injuries are not an excuse. Every team deals with them. The Yankees were probably in a similar position with some of their starters and stuff like that out. But they went out and found guys. Whereas at the trade deadline, the Red Sox really didn't. Now, I believe they overachieved. I believe the Red Sox overachieved. I said they were still a few pieces away from probably making the playoffs. So you made the playoffs. And you were, I think, 5 games out of first place at the end of the year. Better than what I thought. So, you have Garrett Crochet, Brian Bayo. I think Lucas Giolito will be around next year. He may be on the last year of his contract. I don't know. I have to take a look. Rafaela, Wilmer Abreu, Jared Duran, Carlos Navarez, Aroldis Chapman at the back end of your bullpen. You have the pieces in place. I think you need to go out and you got to move somebody. And I think Jared Duran's going to be the guy. And the only reason is he probably has the highest value right now. Rafaela is mainly known for his defense, even though he screwed up game 3, not making that catch. You have guys. I think you need to bring back Alex Bregman. I think you need to make sure that Trevor Story's still here. And then you need to go find that right-handed bat. Pete Alonso is the first name that comes up, and he already said, I'm not staying with the Mets. I got to go somewhere else. I think if you can go do that, you've had the guys develop that you want to develop. Hunter Dobbins looked great before his injury. Connolly Early looked great before his injury. Peyton Toll is probably going to be a very good, I think he's probably going to be more of a long reliever than anything else. But if you go get Joe Ryan, and you're going Crochet, Joe Ryan, Ryan Bayo, hell, let's do Hunter Dobbins and let's do Connolly Early as the last 2 guys. I still think you have a very good rotation. But the Red Sox lost this series because they just didn't have anything left to throw out there other than the only way they get worse is they throw me out there. But and then the Cam Schlittler from Walpole, Massachusetts. First and foremost, I'm going to address this because I always address this. If you're the fans, the Red Sox fans that are messaging his family, what the fuck is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why? Yes. A Massachusetts guy, Massachusetts Red Sox fan, teams growing up, everything else like that. He plays for the New York Yankees. What do you think his family's going to do? They would have been, see, his father used to be the police chief in Needham, Massachusetts. And if you're telling me that deep down, if the Red Sox, even if the Red Sox had won, they'd probably be under the table. Little claps under the table or something. But the kid looks phenomenal. He does. The thing you have to understand as a fan is his family had nothing to do with how well he pitched, how bad the Red Sox played in Game 3. And you want to message them and say hateful things and everything else. He has to come out and say how disappointed he is. I'm sure he's fine being a Yankee now. We got to grow up, man. Like, some of us have to grow up. Look, I'm a passionate fan. I want to see my teams win every single time. And I'll sit here and I'll play the 50-50 game on a podcast so I don't get all the hatred and stuff like that. But I'm a diehard Boston fan. Everything. Did I have my moments in my 20s and everything else like that where now social media wasn't what it was, so would I have done the same thing they done? I don't know, maybe. But I can only tell you what I didn't do, which was any of the bullshit that people are doing, saying hateful things to a 24-year-old kid's family who had nothing to do with it. It's pathetic, man. If you're part of that group of people that does stuff, it's pathetic. Pathetic. But Whirlpool guy, Cam, excellent job. 12 strikeouts, phenomenal composure in those moments. It was fun to watch for the first 3 innings to see them battle, and then, yeah, I think, I mean, obviously, let's. He had 14 games under his belt. Cam, what do we got? Cam. We're just gonna call him Cam. We're just gonna call him Cam because I know I'm gonna screw it up and I'm gonna say something. I make it sound like he had 14 games under his belt, 73, 4-3 with a 2.96 ERA. But it had been on a pretty good run since the beginning of August. Or sorry, the beginning of September. Detroit, they won 9-3. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run. The 16th, play the Twins. They won 10-9. 4 2/3 inning, 4 earned runs. All right, so that one wasn't as great. 5 walks, too. Played 2 games against Baltimore, 6 days apart. 1 7-1 in 10 innings. Boy, they scored 6 runs in the 10th inning. Well, certainly did. They won 7-1 in 10 innings. Went 5 1/3, 1 earned run, 3 hits, 6 strikeouts. In the next game against Baltimore, they won 6-1, 7 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, 9 strikeouts. And then the 4-0 win against the Red Sox where he had 12. No walks. He's had a chance to ramp himself up. Connolly Early did not have that opportunity. He did not have the opportunity to ramp himself up to the point of... Because let's see, he had... two games against the Athletics. 5 innings, 5 hits, 11 strikeouts. 5 1/3, 5 innings, or 5 hits, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts. Tampa Bay, 4 innings, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts against Detroit. And then the game against the Yankees where he was 3 2/3, 3 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. The last 4 games I mentioned just there, the Red Sox lost. And that's not on him. I think the kid's going to be really good. He's 23 years old. Great lefty pitcher. He went out there. He's shown that he can be an ace. He has the stuff to do it. Can he keep it composed? And can he keep going? That's the question. So, in turn, the Red Sox lost that series. The Yankees didn't necessarily win it. They just looked so much better and had a more complete team. And that's not an excuse. That's just what it is. The Red Sox were not ready to win a World Series this year. All right. With that all being said, we're going to wrap this episode. We're a little bit over the hour. I thank everybody for taking a listen. We will have another episode to review the games from this weekend. We'll take a look at where we are with MLB playoffs, as the first game is just kind of looks like it's going to wrap up in the next few or so. I mean, 9-1 was the last score that I saw. So, I mean, it looks like the Brewers are going to take game 1. We do have a bunch of injuries, though. Mariners leave All-Star Brian Wu off the ALDS roster. Bo Bichette, I believe, is off the roster for the Blue Jays. So, some high-profile injuries going into the division series. But please visit us at loftsidebanter.com. That's loftsidebanter.com. Loftsidebanter@gmail.com. Please let me know your thoughts of everything else. And we should be getting into some of that more card stuff a little bit later. And then hopefully having some interviews with hockey coming up. We'll talk to the Fantasy Turf War people coming up. So thank everybody for being patient as I try to get all this stuff together. But please let me know if you have any questions, comments, concern. Email me, let me know. And have yourself a good rest of your weekend.